Hi guys, welcome back to our continuous education program at Base Tennis. Just a reminder of the big picture of the program. You are working in a multicultural environment with open door policies. And although we definitely want you to bring your magic on your teaching, there has to be some structure and common language. So when we work with different players at different levels, the progress goes only forwards. In order to continue having this common philosophy of teaching, let me introduce you to the 5 R's. The 5 R's are ready, read, react, racket, and recovery. Please don't think this is the end all of teaching. It's just a tool that will give you a frame to be able to break down a player's game. Just to give you a little background how this concept came about, it was through experience. Every single player that I had the pleasure to work with, I used to repeat myself and say, run, stay, hit. Run, stay, hit. And suddenly I started to realize that there was a cycle that always repeated itself while I was teaching. And it was an easy way to break down the players systematically. I shared these ideas with Michael Everett, which is a keynote ITF coach. And he's amazing. And when I shared this with him, he went like, oh wow, this is a really interesting concept. Why don't you look at it from this perspective? There are 5 R's, which I already mentioned. He brought the concept to me and I was like, oh, this is super easy to remember, makes totally sense, and it fits the concept that I already have been working on. Now, let me define every single stage of the cycle. The first phase is ready. Ready is getting yourself in the best possible position with your mind, your body, your racket, your focus. So you give yourself the best chance to react and start and execute the shot. The next phase is read. And this is where we get and process all the information that is going on while we're playing. I'm talking about observing signals, cues, subtle actions of what is happening in our surroundings. The third one is react. Once you have processed this information and made a decision, you start taking action on how to solve the situation. The fourth step is racket, which is a very complex one. This is setting up and executing the shot. We will get into more details once we break every single phase down. The last one, recovery, which is finding the most effective way to get ready for the next shot. Once you understand that this is a framework to help yourself to systematically analyze the players, you will find this tool very helpful. Just a quick reminder. In order for this tool to make sense, I gotta bring you back to a different concept. Tennis is a game of sending and receiving ball. Therefore, every single stage that we talked about makes only sense if you look at that from that perspective. Who is sending and who is receiving ball? With that being said, let's get into it. Something that is key is that we need to understand that we are in the development stage of players and not on the final product of players. That being said, this framework will help you bring and break everything down to the simplest, most basic movements. So you can work on the progressions needed to bring the player to the next level. That's how we want to work these 5 R's. So I invited Lucas, my friend who works at Base Tennis, because I wanted him to tell you how the implementation of the 5 R's had helped him, in which ways it hasn't, where it works, and all these little details that I get out of my head and I let somebody else put it in different words.
Thanks, Ruben. So for me, the 5 R's really is a nice way to connect the whole process and keep it running in a circle. So when we go through all the phases, this run, stay, hit really helped me to get the kids to actually run to the ball, be stable, stay, hit the ball, and then recover right back. Many times you see children running to the ball, hitting, and then running away from the court and not really recovering. So when we break down the movement that happens in tennis all over all the time, it helps them to actually realize the stages and make it more simple and easier to understand.
Guys, like in my head, and this is how these 5 R's have evolved, was it happens every single time, this cycle, and just giving sense to it and knowing what to look for at every single stage and what was the transition in between every single stage. I think it makes it much easier for all of us to kind of like know where we are on the stroke and work on them.
Yeah, and even if you look at the top players, we were just watching video of Djokovic. You can still, I know it happens super fast, but you can still go through and find each of these stages in the clip of them moving. So, you know, if you can find it where the pros are, the earlier you start with the little children, implementing all of these phases into the movement, the better.
This is crazy because we have a player like Benny Hassam or Florian Broska, which are pretty much pro players, and even at their level we are breaking down the 5 R's just to make sure that they are all in the right place when they are even playing at that level. So I cannot wait to get on court, film some for you guys, and hopefully you find this useful.